Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of the Bucket and Hoosier Show. As always, I'm Mr. Hoosier, and joining me, the guy who just watched. Are you a Kansas City Chiefs fan or not?
Me? No,
You're
not at
not?
all.
Okay.
0%.
Guy who came from the area but not a fan of them, Mr. Bucket. Bucket, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm excited for today. We are here, day early? We've been all over the place. We did a Tuesday, we did a Thursday, typically Monday, but we're on Sunday now because we get another special appearance by one of our favorite people. So I'm excited.
Very excited. So we're here on a Sunday night. Usually we record on Mondays, but he was able to get on and chat with us tonight after taking second in the last offseason tournament of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have, as always, RawGreg's. Greg, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
Dude, we love having you. So how has the offseason been? You guys have been doing a lot of good work and been having, it seems like a lot of great success right now.
It's good. It's a work in progress always with us. It's not something that, making roster changes is not easy, but it's really not. I hate it. But like I'm so happy with Cheese and his progress, and it's just everything's just been growth from here on out. So like today we got a couple good wins, but Dignitas just had our number today bad.
Yeah, they've kind of had you guys in the last two tournaments? I know they beat you guys twice today, but wasn't it the last two tournaments?
Well, yeah, they beat us like the last time we played a tactical ban. Maybe it wasn't a tactical ban. It was some other tournament we played that we lost them as well. And then this one we lined up same thing. Then we lost them twice, and it was like I thought we had them a little bit at the end in that last series, but now we couldn't finish it out. But they're firing right now for real.
They look really good, but you guys are looking really good as well. I mean, the team is just seems to be on fire at the moment. How are they clicking right now?
It's good. It's a different it's a different environment than what we had with AJ. Uh, in good ways and bad ways, but
Okay.
it's really it's a positive thing moving forward because everybody's working so hard and they're very very communicative about how they want to play, what they want, and because of that, we're able to do a lot of things that I know a lot of people are saying like Jesus, like your guys' play style is insane. It's a lot more of how I've been wanting to play for a little bit, and it's still again it's a work in progress, but it's looking good.
Oh, well, that's good to hear, especially with how a lot of the off season seemed to go and a lot of the announcements that came out. I know last time
Yeah.
we talked, we were all speculating on, is it going to be league play? What is it going to change to? And obviously the changes. I mean, you've seen the community, and even all the hardcore fans were all just kind of sitting by the side, going, what happened?
I don't know. I think we're all in the same boat there.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, we want nothing what's best for our esport. Period. So, it's a community that has a lot of love for their game, and it's a community that I think we're all a little bit reluctant to change. To be honest with you, and like you saw the same reaction when RLCS got announced because they were talking about going into an open format from that league play, and everybody's like, "Well, what happens? It's dead," and it's like it wasn't. But I think that we have to be a little bit adaptable to the change too, to see what they're going for first. But I still think that we're at a point where the organizations and the players need to band together and communicate to Epic slash Blast slash Psyonix, whoever it is right now. And we need to just get on the same page about what the future is so we can all approach this thing together and do what's best for our game.
I think you hit it straight on the head right there. That one, we do, as much as we all do not like it. I've been somebody who has been very vocal about not liking the changes. We do have to kind of give it a shot and see where it goes. But at the same time, yeah, keep being vocal about what it is that we don't like or what are the things that we do like. I mean, Bucket, you asked me last week, do you see any positives? And my initial reaction was, no. Not right now.
Yeah, you never do though. You're so you want to tear everything down, and I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think it's fair, but I want to step back here a little bit with you, Greg. If you could just walk us through a little bit of at the end of last season since we last talked, and then how this new team kind of got built, so we can kind of slip into that real quick. What changed? You got the new org, like all that stuff. Whatever you can break down for us.
Well, where do I even start? I
That's a
mean,
whirlwind.
I mean, I'm not
I
gonna
know,
lie.
right?
It's been a long off season. You're talking about since optic.
You're right. I mean, it's been what? It was
Ooh,
August.
yeah.
I don't even remember when we last talked. So, yeah, I mean, you can just kind of, you don't have to talk about the when all of that
Right. We know
kind of
like
transpired,
Optic
but
left
like
the
how you
scene.
got into Luminosity and you got the new team, even though most of it's the same.
Well, I'll give so the whole optic thing. It just kind of fell apart a little bit, and I think that they weren't as interested in Rocket League as we thought they were, which is it's completely okay. They provide us a great home. We were down in Texas for a long time. Slater still lives down there, so like I mean, we got nothing but love for the guys at Optic. Like they seriously, they gave us a huge chance to have a platform, and they gave us a ton of fans from it too. Um, but the Luminosity thing, we were in the off season, and we started hearing rumblings about some teams looking in, and a lot of them were really, really good names, and we got a lot of good offers. But the thing about Luminosity that stood out is that they just believed in us. Like they saw what we were doing here, and they saw like what me, Slater, Kev, MB were doing. They're like, you guys don't even need a third. We trust whoever you guys get. Like we just want you guys on board. Like we just trust in this team, and that right there showed me that they were about number one, the game, and number two, like building something long term, rather than like catching on to a team that's like, oh, this is the team that's hot right now. Like they just wanted to build something. So it made me confident signing with them, and since then it's been great.
That definitely seems like that because I think that was something that we saw in the last really 2 years with the way Rocket League was going. It seemed that there were a lot of orgs just kind of jumping on the train of, oh, this seems to be a good hot team. Let's just sign them right now. And not really orgs wanting to stick around and I guess really build up something. So hearing that Luminosity wants to do that for the esport is fantastic to hear.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, who's the CEO, like, I mean, he seriously went all out in recruiting us, and we just telling us like they helped us so much, and like there's a lot of stuff they did as an org that they didn't have to do, like in order to get us on board, and we were willing to make like exceptions for them too. But like just even having two players was huge, and I think I told you guys last time I was here, hey, like no offense to anybody, but I was paying Kevper out of my own pocket. Okay, Kevper is signed to Luminosity now. You know what I mean?
That's
So
awesome.
that was a huge thing for us because like that's my right hand man, and the fact that he's with me again, I'm just so thankful that they were able to make that happen for us. Just little commendations like that where they see like, hey, they're gonna take the steps necessary to build a good culture too. I mean, it's great.
You can't beat that right now, not with the way that everything is at the moment and trying to get orgs just to hang on and just hang on for the ride that's about to go on this next season. Um,
Yeah.
what's the feel with the team when it comes to the way the open qualifiers are now? I mean, that's a long road for you guys starting this coming weekend.
Like as far as I mean, my thoughts on it don't change. I think that, that you go from the differences being we would be invited to a top 16 qualifier and then we would just be in RLCS if we make it. That's how it was last year. To everybody's in an open qual, and I'm sure you're gonna have, teams that you're gonna play along the way that are tough, but like you're gonna get into the top 16 a lot easier, technically, if that makes sense. Like you might have to play one really, really, really tough team, and then you're gonna have to play another pretty tough team if you lose, but then you're in top 16. So it's like I see what people are saying about that, but the best teams are going to win. So as far as like from a mental standpoint, you have to have your own play style down because you're seeing so many different teams. And I was telling you guys last year too, the skill ceiling and the skill floor, they are just starting to close in on each other. And so the best teams that have the best synergy and the communication of it will win. But the teams with the most cohesive play style that, it just beats everybody, where another team has to adapt to us, I think goes a long way. So working towards that, like, hey, answer us play style is something that's what this offseason's been about.
I love that. So you guys are adapting to or adopting the philosophy of like we're not going to play down to teams, we're going to make them play up to us,
Play us.
something along those lines.
Right. Play us. And I think that you can see it too, that when we play teams, and this isn't like a brag or anything, it's just we play different. Like, when you see other teams play, they're not nearly as physical as us. They aren't nearly as creative as us, but it also looks strange sometimes because the goals we let in sometimes are like, holy hell. But sometimes the goals we score, you don't see other teams score because of the way
Yeah,
that we're
Magic
creative and
Bear had
moving.
a ridiculous one today off the sidewall to backboard,
Yeah.
and then off inverted. Like, it was beautiful.
That kid's a goat. I swear to God, he is. I swear to God, I'm telling you, he's the goat.
Who was it?
He's just so smart. It was
People know it now, though. He's not flying under the radar. Do you think he did a little bit last year, and people understand now that that's the case?
well, to be honest with you, fall and winter, I don't think were his best splits, and I think that he showed flashes where he was like, damn, like MB is that guy. But I think that spring and what he did for us, obviously AJ was humongous in spring. Do not get me wrong. AJ was a ginormous. Like I will give so much credit to AJ for that spring split because of the way that he locked in and with the way that he just started saying, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. AJ looked like a different beast, but MB was silently just this enormous, like he was just a catalyst. I don't know how to describe it. Like if AJ and Retals were the engine, MB was the fuel, and every once in a while MB would just get going, and again silently, like he might get two demos, AJ will score, and everybody's like, wow, look at AJ, and it's like, but you're not seeing what MB is doing, and I think a lot of
That's right.
people weren't looking at the way that MB was impacting a lot of plays off the ball, but then as we were leading up into the spring major and stuff too, that's when MB started like. When I started noticing it, where I was like, "Wow, this dude is evolving." And I think the confidence helped him too. Like it's like he's a major player now, and then he started getting that confidence of a major player where he's like, I'm better than this guy. I'm better than this guy. It's like, okay, that's what I needed. But he's under the radar for sure. I still think people underrate him because
Really?
we don't have
Maybe
the
we've
success
just
we do
talked to you
without him.
so many times and we get to hear all that stuff. But I kept an eye on him through, like you said, that spring split. And
Yep.
those are the things I noticed, the things that don't show up on the stat lines, but they do show up in the overall dubs and the things that you guys get as a team. And he's that player, right? The guy who cares about the win.
Yep. A team first, 100% team first. Well, always he's just the most selfless. He's like the most selfless mechanical player you can ask for, which is it's like a unicorn.
Yeah, that I would say that would be in this day and age with Rocket League players and
like,
their egos and gotta prove that I'm the best. But I wonder if too, when it comes to Magic Bear and flying under the radar, like I feel like this season with hearing that it's gonna be Squishy's last split. Dree says he's retiring, even though I believe he just signed. He's on NRG's roster as a sub. Yeah. I just wonder if we're about to see just the changeover of the guard a little bit more. There's all the players that we know that have been around, and maybe Magic Bear is just that next one to take the stick and run with it.
He has all the potential too. He really, really does. I mean, obviously, if he does that, then I'm talking to you guys in a couple months about something completely different, right? And we're like, wow, told you. But I hope so. But I know that right now he is such a good team player that I don't want to make him some star or inflate his ego or any way. I just want him to keep being him. And I think if he keeps playing the way that, it's weird because you have to have like alter egos in this game. Like he's not Magic Bear. He's Chris. But like if Chris plays like Magic Bear and he can really, really like turn that on all the time, then yeah, sky's the limit.
That's awesome to hear. I'm guessing, and I'm gonna take a wild guess and say Retals is being Retals, and he's just that team captain and helping keep everybody just in the game as he usually does.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's adjusting to a new role too, because with AJ, it's AJ was a veteran too, and so Retals and AJ shared a lot of the burden, even though Retals was more outspoken. Whereas now you bring on Cheese, who is, I would say more immature as far as like in the scene. You know what I mean? And like as far as like what we want to do professionally and as a team, he's professional in the way he approaches things. He's communicative. He's the most positive person you'll ever like. He's great, but he doesn't understand the veteran aspects of the game where it's like, hey, we can lose this team, and it doesn't matter. We're gonna go down to the lower bracket. Like teaching him that type of stuff is stuff that's vital. And I think Retals in this role, he's a lot more of he has to be cool, calm, and collected for them. Whereas before he had to just be
okay.
a very, very outspoken leader, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's shifting your leadership style a lot.
Yep, it is.
And that's what makes a great leader, right? Someone who can recognize that, hey, what I did before, it worked for that person, but it doesn't work for this person. I got to approach this person just a little bit different to get the same results that we were getting before.
Yep.
Oh, wow. It's
It's
interesting
definitely
to hear.
different.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear just that those real world things come into esports and how it has that big crossover, and it's good. It's great life lessons for these younger guys to learn and to get a grasp of now, and then later on in life. But
I
Go
think so
ahead.
too. No, I was gonna say I think so too. I think that these are all real life things that happen, and it's like, you know, it's weird because even in real sports, it's the same way. It's like no team is the same year after year.
Right.
Even just one person leaving, and it could be some guy that we as fans view as insignificant, or maybe somebody that's on the bench all the time. But when that guy leaves, things change, and that person might have held them together. He might have made them worse. But I think you can't look at any team as the same after another year, after an offseason where any move is made, especially in Rocket League where one player has so much impact.
Yeah, there's always the team dynamics are always changing. Well, shoot, what do you got right now, Bucket? I'm kind of blank right now because Greg was running through everything.
No, yeah, I think that's a great point. I think it was Lamar Jackson that just said that yesterday after his win with the Ravens, right? He was like they asked him what's different this year and he's like we're a different team. That's
Right.
what he said, literally. Like that's what we are. Where you have some of the same guys, some new guys, and this dynamic is great and I love it. And that's exactly kind of what you guys are going through. You have this new team, but also you have these pieces that you guys have kind of cored it. And I just feel like you guys are there. So tell us about your third then, like a little bit more about how you're feeling on that with
Cheese?
cheese. Yeah.
I mean, we love Cheese. Like Cheese is one of those kids that like I can't say this in any other way, but he is probably the most infectious, positive attitude that you could have around a team. And he's young. He's about 18, 19, and but he consistently just brings vibes. Every energy that he has, he loves the game. You know what I mean? And you can tell when somebody loves the game, but just the way they play. Something can happen. He's just constantly laughing. He finds ways to be creative, um, and that pushes the other guys too. And it makes practice easy. When you have a team that's actually all laughing and able to communicate with each other and criticize each other, but not take it the wrong way, it opens up a lot, especially as far as like what is possible in certain situations and what shouldn't happen too. So I think with Cheese, the great part about him is that he's never trying to be somebody else. He's just trying to fit in, and the thing that I've constantly been preaching to him is like be a student of the game. And over the past, I'd say 2 weeks especially, he has done nothing but study the game and try to understand. It's not just all about grind. Sometimes it's about the whys. It's about how is this done, rather than just, oh, I'm about to put in 100 hours and I'm gonna go crazy. It is what it is. But he's learning the game at an extremely quick level right now, and it's making our team a lot better because the smarter he gets and the more he plays his game, that's another person with complete upward trajectory and potential.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the teams need people like that. I love to hear that too. Someone fresh like that coming in with the
Yeah.
positive attitude. Those infectious people just make a big difference in the day to day, the grind that you're about to go through. You guys know you're about to embark on this whole journey, which we know now has changed a little bit, but we're still seeing some things come through that we may not have known last time. Me and Hoosier talked last week. And one of the things Hoosier mentioned or saw on Twitter, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but it's something to do with coaches not being able to be in the games or the observer. Is that new? What was that, Hoosier, that you saw?
No, so
No.
what I saw, I think you saw me respond to Gregan today. Gregan made a post talking about how teams can have an observer in their matches so that your team's games can be broadcast, since there is no main broadcast on like the first days. But that observer cannot be the coach or the manager. It has to
Yep.
be somebody else. So, and he was pointing out that well, that doesn't really help for non-org teams, or if you're trying to expand Rocket League as a whole, because people, if you do get someone to do it for free, which there are people that would do that, you're still not helping them. Like Greg and Field that felt that you should get paid for doing that. But I put on Gregan's post, and I think Gregan was kind of alluding to it, that if the concern is like knowing how much boost somebody has, because outside of that, I can't see what the advantage would be. You can literally have a third-party app. They have been made where you can monitor you can see everybody's boost on the field while you're playing. So it's like, what are we trying to stop by this? Like, I don't know. How do you feel about that, Greg? Did you see Gregan's post at all?
I saw it a little bit, but to me, it was insignificant because it's been this way.
It has
We've
been
never
this
been
way,
allowed to
right?
be in. We've never been allowed to be in the matches, so it was like it was just further stating that we just don't have a spectator spot, which is frustrating. Like, don't get me wrong, it makes no sense. But because even today, I'm coaching, right, and when we're off mainstream, I'm allowed to be in the lobby. So everybody's like, oh, okay, and then I can save replays, I can talk to them in real time. Today, that tactical banditry tournament was 5 seconds delayed. So I'm sitting there listening to comms, and I'm watching the broadcast, guys. Like, that's what I'm watching, and it's tough because
How
I'm
can you
trying to.
coach like that?
You can't.
That's so
Okay,
frustrating.
it is very frustrating, but it's a challenge, and it's just something that you get used to. And as much as like, so I can't really pinpoint like, the communication points or like the communication focus that we have, but I still know what's going wrong. Like when you look, it's just frustrating. But at the end of the day, nothing changed. I wish they would do something for coaches, but I know last year they were doing stuff where when you were on the mainstream, they would have a broadcast in the Discord, and then I could go into the Discord on my phone, have this like the stream up, and it was real time, and then I could be in Discord on my computer talking to my guys, which that's how I did things last year, but it was only when we were on the mainstream. So this year, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how it's going to be changed and how it's going to be adapted, but again, do I know? I have no idea. We're going to see as it goes, but I truly believe that in this esport, especially, coaches have never been given a lot to work with, and I think that you just take what you can get, and whatever you're given, just run with it. It is what it is.
Yeah. So right now,
I understand as a developer like how hard it is to do certain things, but in this regard, they could essentially add some role to as an observer where you can only see the certain team that they pick for you, blue or orange, and then you can only see those teams. Like that's not that
Right.
hard.
But as far as the boost things go, by the way, there are not coaches. Like I don't know how else to say this. There are not coaches that are sitting there calling out boost counts.
Yeah, it's like stealing signs. It's like,
well, how much? Like honestly,
if
how
you can
much
see
advantage
it,
do you
maybe,
really?
but it's
No, it's actually a disadvantage. If I'm
That's
sitting
what I
there
was
and if
thinking.
you heard the communication of my team and how precise it is, if I sat there and somebody was up in the air and I'm like, he's got 0, dude, you're putting pressure on them. One, you're putting unnecessary comms in the space, which I don't like flooding space with like just empty words. So it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know coaches that are communicating boost. If you're communicating boost, the players aren't focusing on what they need to be doing. This game is very instinctual. So all of a sudden now, guy has 0 boost. What, you're going to completely change the way you're going to approach it because now you have that information? Maybe, but I still think that we're just not in the space of time right now where a spectator spot, which we're allowed in most tournaments. In most tournaments, they'll say a coach can come in. Nobody is calling out boost. I promise you. And even these smaller tournaments, it's not like I'm sitting there going, oh, yeah, dude, let me in that lobby. It's over now. I just want to be able to talk to my guys in real time.
Yeah, I like that was the only thing I could rationalize that is why coaches have never been allowed in is, oh, well, you would be able to get an advantage on the other team and see what their boost count is. It's like, but is that really an advantage? Because unless I'm actually sitting there like if you're in there, right? If you're a spectator, I've done it from casting, right? And you would have to go to the player. You'd have to quick switch over to player, and then, like you said, then call it out, and then they got to decide, change whatever they're doing, and it doesn't add up.
Well, there are also, like you were referring to before, there are
The-
mods
That's
and
true.
like
Yeah.
stuff that you can have that will tell you what you need to know. That's all I can say. Like I use it for scrims.
Right.
And it'll tell you like boost total. It'll show you the position of the players on the map. It'll show you like distance to teammates, blah blah blah. And it's interesting stuff for me and Kev to look at and just say, oh, like this is something that we're noticing with this team, blah blah blah. But it's just in private matches, period. So a private match could be a scrim. A private match could be RLCS.
Right.
So having a coach in there with that information, does it change much? No, I really do. I think that the coaches should have that information, to be honest with you. Like after a match, me being able to see, hey, this is what your boost usage was. This is how close you were to this teammate. Is that cheating? No.
No.
But I think it's the real time updates of it all that go through it. But then it goes, okay, we're at LAN and you give us a spectator spot. We get to stand behind our players and we're just only seeing our team. So to me, if you're going to put a spectator spot in, you have to do it for one team because now that I really think about it, one day there might be a situation where some coach comes in and he's like, listen, I've found out perfectly how to, you know, I can communicate to you guys what their boost is and I'll figure it out. Like we'll do it like really, really quietly or whatever. I don't know. Not to say that it's going to work either, but you might have a situation like that where it might turn the tide. I don't know. But you don't want that situation popping up at all.
So
yeah, but trying to prevent things before they happen is just so
Right.
It's like, come on, let's just give you guys the tools that you need to make the best entertaining show that you can.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's at the end of the day how I feel about it. Like, and I think most people who watch it or want to support or care about the esport in general want that. Like, give them the tools. You're standing there at LANs, like right behind them.
Yeah, when you're at LAN behind them, are you able to talk to them in real time?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm almost trying to draw a comparison to like the NFL. I mean, we all like comparisons,
Where I'm
right?
in their ear.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the NFL, you can be in their ear up until a certain point. So I'm trying to think of a way that my brain's now going to, would there be a way that goal scored, now mic open, say your things, yada, yada, yada.
Yes.
Kick off, mic off.
We have that. Well, I do it manually because one of the things truly
Right.
I believe as a coach too is that like you don't want to. For me personally, you don't want to disrupt comms. Like if I'm sitting there being like, "Nice, good job, nice," as things are going on, which is like stuff that I'll say to myself, right? And I'll mute myself even in practice. That's just the way I am. I'm a talker. I'm like, "Nice, good, okay, you need to do this." Boom, okay, that's what happened. And I sit here and I constantly think about that. Like, grab the boost. Okay, get this. Rotate this way. Okay, you can stay. If I was doing that in their ear, they would lose it. But you could just mute it. Like you can flip up your headset or whatever, or like some of them have a button. Some it's just regular headsets, right? Flip up the mic, it mutes. Press a button, it mutes. And then when a goal scored, I say what I can, which is tough, dude. Like you have seriously 6 seconds to spew.
It's a short time.
It's like they always talk about like the difference between like a podcast and like live TV. Where like they'll say like on Sports Center they'll be like, "What was wrong with the Chiefs today versus the Bills?" And then like they'll span over. That guy that they're panning over to has a ton to say, but he has to actually shrink it into like 30 seconds. Whereas like it's the same thing. I have a ton that I need to say, and during the timeout after the game, I have 60 seconds.
Right.
But in between goals, I genuinely, and sometimes I don't even have that because my players want to talk too. So it's like I have 3 to 4 seconds of, "Hey, this is what's going on here, blah 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 blah." Okay, I'm good. You guys are good. Let's go. That's it. So it's just you have to pick and choose what you want to say. But I don't, and obviously if a game's a blowout or something, you can talk to them during that point too. But yeah, you don't have much time to talk. Period. So
yeah,
the whole coaching communication thing is strange. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, you do most of your coaching right before you get to the game. You're just making
All of it is
minor
done before the
adjustments.
game.
Probably you're making sure that they're in the right headspace, and you're just reminding them of things. You're not trying to teach them something, right? So that makes perfect sense.
Yep. 100%. That's 100% it. Like if even my coaching style in general is like, and I know this is kind of strange, but before tournaments, before RLCS and stuff, I don't. When we're in the off season, I like to confuse my players. I would rather have them thinking extremely hard and being lost in the off season, trying to learn something, and then simplifying everything as we get back in the tournament. So it's like huge periods of learning and a lot of information. This is what we need to be doing. This is what we're doing here. We're learning this new concept, okay? And then as we're going in and we're like starting to prepare for RLCS, everything gets stripped down. It's like almost just fundamental basics because we've hammered in their heads so many times the ways that we're seeing the game and some of the intricacies that they don't even have to be told that anymore. You know what I mean? So now it's just the fundamentals and getting everything back to like polished.
Right. Yeah, you
That's my
complicate
belief
things
on
in
it.
the off season, and then you make it
Yes.
simple when you get into the regular season.
Yes, or just even just leading up, like this next week, it's simple. It's straight simple time.
That would make sense. Yeah, you don't want to cause any disruption in what's going on, especially when it seems like you guys have a very good flow going at the moment, with some good results in this off season. How was the off season for you? I know that was the longest off season that we've had in a long time.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, me and my brother moved in together. So we got a new house, which was dope. I got a new car. Like, I mean, I was
Oh,
balling.
nice.
Um, so the off season's been great, like as far as like relaxing, but again, it goes straight into work when you talk about like, we had to sign a Luminosity, um, getting our third, which took months, months. We tried out like 7 different players.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Tell us about that process a little
Oh,
bit, like just generalities.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I guess we could say it now. We tried out a ton of players, and we didn't really know. Like, moving off of AJ was a difficult choice. Regardless, it was not something that we were um, aware that we were gonna do, but it became more apparent that it was gonna happen. So when the decision was finally made, and like the party split, I think it was a mutual decision. I think um, we had to decide like what are we. Like who are we as a team? And I think that process in determining, okay, well, where do we want to go from here? Because there's a lot of different ways that we could have gone. And I think we could have gone for somebody that was a veteran. That maybe would raise our floor by a lot. And we saw like, hey, this guy's going to play the game the right way. He's been at majors, blah, blah, blah. We could have looked at Europe. Um, but in the end, it was like, we wanted to find that culture fit that felt like, when we were all talking, we were just saying like, you'll know. If it feels forced, like when Rocket League play, it's so strange. But when Rocket League players play together, there's this weird little synergy that happens, and sometimes players catch synergy with each other out of nowhere. And the one person, and the thing that I saw was that MB and Cheese caught synergy quickly, where it was like I would hear MB do something, like they'd just be calming, and MB would like throw it off the corner, and then he would like giggle, right? It's just like a weird giggle. I can't describe it, but then Cheese would go up, and Cheese would be instantly laughing. He would find MB back on the ground, and they would just be laughing together. I'm like, what in the hell is that? But you hear those things, you start seeing it, and then all of a sudden they're playing twos with each other all the time. That type of stuff, it was not forced. It just happened. So then the way he would come in and be like, hey, like let's look at replays. Like I at a certain point we were just like, it's just Cheese.
It's
There's
just
no
cheese.
question about it. Like it's just him. So you get to a point like that where it just made sense. And I think that a lot of the veterans, like, there's a lot of great players in this pool. Like it was the craziest free agent pool I've ever seen in my life. Period.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It was absolutely insane. And a lot of the players that I even got to coach for a little bit too. They changed my opinion on them too. Like there are so many smart players that are willing to learn this game and want to be coached. Um, it's insane. So a lot of these players have great homes now, and I'm excited to see how they do. But at the end of the day, we wanted to go for somebody that was going to fit the culture, but was young and wanting to learn and grind. It was like because you can't replace that fire either. And like a new dude that sparks energy into a whole group. There was something about Cheese that just brought fire to us.
Yeah, you gotta love that when you take a chance on a younger player and not a veteran. Instead of going with a veteran, and they'd bring seems that Cheese is bringing that veteran mentality and wanting to get better at the game and stay at the top.
Yep. Oh, he wants nothing more than to be a pro. Like when you hear somebody, how sometimes you hear somebody talk about the game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like almost in like this like adoring way, like he loves it so much. But he wants to be a pro. You know what I mean? He wants to be the best. So when you hear him talk about the game and like what he can do to be better, it's very, very contagious. And you can't replace that attitude on a team
No, you
at
really
all.
can't. Like that's a hard thing to find in a player. I feel like in anybody that's coming up. But it seems like all the players that are coming up, they have a goal and
Yep.
they feel like this is something that they really want to be a part of and really want to do. So yeah, it's kind of with everything that happened in the new setup and everything and the way the payouts are, it definitely like I had said earlier, it felt like um the writing's on the wall of don't make this a career. Like that's what it kind of feels like when and you do have these young kids that are coming up and think that, oh, I can actually do something with this, but it doesn't feel like the support is there going forward. Which we hope after this season, maybe our minds will be changed. Maybe
I hope so.
we will see that the support is there. The wildest thing I've seen is that there are NA teams that are signed up for SSA. Have you seen that?
No, give me a breakdown. This is good. This is
Oh,
breaking
hang
news for
on.
me.
There are there are
Graybeards.
16 non-SSA teams. There's 2 from okay, never mind. Maybe it's not maybe not a oh yeah, nope, there is. So there's 2 UK, 2 Italian teams, 2 Netherlands, 3 German, 1 French, and 6 American teams. I'm trying to find out who those teams are right now.
Wow.
That are going to go play
Well,
on 200 ping. And as Gibbs put out there, RLCS players realizing they are stuck in SSA after a 17th place finish in qualifier 1 on 200 ping.
well, I mean, that's one of the rules though, you know? Like if you sign up there, you're stuck.
Are
Yeah.
you're stuck there
That's
for the
why it's like
entire
that.
season?
Yep.
Oh.
Deal with it.
So, but I will be honest with you. I think that's this very strange rule, period, that you would even enact. Like,
That you would allow it?
eh,
They were trying to avoid
yeah.
this, though, I think, right? Like, this was the reason they did it.
What?
And
What?
people just didn't care. So that teams that didn't live somewhere could go just try it out.
Right.
And they
Yeah,
didn't
I
go
Greg's
agree.
exactly.
I
confused
agree.
as to why they even let you sign up for it.
Yeah. What seems to be the MO of Epic right now, given their new format, is to increase participation. Right? They want people that are not at the highest rank to be able to play the game and be like, well, maybe if I played, like I could win some money, and then maybe if I keep getting better, so it increases participation and like you increase the game in general. Because if you build it up from the bottom, which I always try to put myself in, like, what would Greg in the bubble say? You know what I mean? Like this is good for like the younger guys and the people that aren't pros to get money. I truly do believe that, but I just don't believe that we're at this point in time when it was necessary or appropriate to do it. Um,
Yeah,
but
I think
I'll
we all
also
felt like that we were at a place to take it a step up, not what we feel like is a step back.
well, it's not even just because this feels like a step up. Like if I would have told you 7 NA major teams, 7 EU major teams, we're doing 2014 majors, top 128 is getting paid. We're like, damn, we're here, we're bigger than ever. But with the decrease in major teams, with the decrease in there's no auto qualified spots. It feels like a step back. And then you say you can play in any region you want just because we want to increase participation, period. It seems like a numbers thing, okay? And
Okay.
that's just period. It seems like there's something in Epic that they're saying, let's make the players that are signing up for RLCS so they can maybe pitch it and like, hey, look how many people are signing up. We still have a huge thing. That's what I'm
That's
hoping.
right.
That's me being optimistic. But they want to increase participation across all regions. And if they feel that they can do that, then they can expand what they're doing. I hope that's the case. And, you know, I'm putting faith in them to say that, hey, I don't see the bigger picture right now. But I knew that there was going to be a little bit of an off year this year just because of the way things were going last year. We had an amazing world where if you look at the viewership, if you look at just participation in general across like just viewership, look at viewership, look at all the numbers and the people going to the events. It was at its highest. So, but then there were layoffs. Then there was some stuff that was happening around the esports scene that, you know, took a toll. So I knew we were going to take a step back. But I didn't think that we were going to take a step back in format. I thought that, hey, we're going to figure it out. Maybe they're just trying something new. Again, I want what's best for the game. If what's best for the game is to bring in some new players, okay, let's do it. If we have to grow this thing from the bottom again, okay, let's do it. You know, one of the things that we were talking about is like this feels like old RLRS plans where like everybody has to go qual in. You just wake up on a day and it's like, hey, you guys ready to go make your dreams come true? And everybody would wake up with like this like knot in their stomach. Yeah, okay. And you'd be grinding for 6 months to do this.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what Rocket League was.
Yeah, I think a lot of people out there can remember one of the bigger content creators, John Sandman, like back in the day when him, Wolfie, and Mike, they did their run and they were so close to like actually qualifying. Seeing one of those, and I guess that's kind of what I'm curious. I'm a little excited to see. I'll be kind of bummed when it does happen to a team, but that off the wall team that nobody knows and they all of a sudden just squeak one out on a big name team to where everybody's like, what just happened?
And it's gonna happen because we got best of threes coming.
Oh yeah, I forgot it's best of threes.
There's some best of threes up until I forget until what point they're up till. I think it's till top 128. So
yes.
I think in North America you're probably gonna have about 400 to 500 teams sign up. So you're gonna be playing.
I think it was 500 I saw last.
Okay, which is that's a pretty fair amount. So you're gonna play a lot of teams. You're gonna play probably 2 or 3 teams in best of threes. Ideally, if you're a top team, they seed it properly and you don't play anybody crazy, but you should be playing because I think they said that you have to be a platinum to play. So, but let me tell you about the difference between a professional and a platinum. Okay?
Wait. Say that again. You're going to tell us the what in the what?
The difference between a professional and a platinum.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Okay. There's a ginormous difference. And in a best of 3, I would not be surprised if one player just started driving in circles and 2 of the other players were just hitting the ball as hard as they could. How many goals would happen? It'd be a lot. Okay. But there will be a certain point where if a team doesn't play ranked because they're basing this MMR and all the seeding off of ranked 3s, that you might get some random team in there that they forgot to seed. Right? Or that doesn't play ranked 3s, that you're playing on day 1 in a best of 3 and you're like, holy hell, what is this team? And that team, if you just, I'm telling you, I've played through quals exactly like this. You lose game 1, and it is clenched butt cheeks. Doesn't matter how good you are. You are clenched butt cheeks, and that other team, seriously, they think they're pro. If that team wins game 1, they're like, it's it. We're going to the big leagues now. Here we go. And they start, and the way they play changes. And these guys can be, these guys can be SSL players. Right. But all of a sudden, they're SSLs that beat a pro team one time, and all they have to do is win one game.
One game.
That's it. And dude, I'm telling you, the way they move is different. They move like they're like, I always make that analogy with you guys, like the hungry dog and the happy fed dog. They are the hungry dog, and they move differently. So you want to not get into that situation. Hopefully, you play against teams that are seeded properly. But I have a sneaking suspicion that somebody's going to say, "How in the hell was blank seeded blank?"
100%. I just looked for NA Open Qualifier. There's 684 teams.
Can I give you some more context into that? I just opened up Start GG and looked back at RLCS Qualifier 1, which I actually just did the same thing you said. I was like, awful. I joined it.
How far did you get?
This is 2016. For NA pools, there were 3,472 teams. That's wild.
Whoa.
There were 64 pools of 55 teams each.
That's because everybody thought they could be a pro.
That's
100%.
And that's what, but that's what you're saying.
Okay,
this is exactly what you're saying. That's what this might be enticing. And I didn't think of it that way, but that is like kind of opened my eyes to maybe that's it. Maybe they're trying to expand. Like we got to reach we got to cast a wider net to get more viewership.
Yeah. And I think that's what they're doing, and that's fine. But just know that in 2016, you could have been pro. Maybe you were just lost. Okay. And to be fair, like the game was primal. It was not
still
good.
Primal then.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Go look at 2018 replays, 2019 replays. You'll be like, holy hell, what happened?
They didn't even know some of the things were possible.
Yeah. And then, like, dude, somebody will have flip reset, and people are like, that's why he's the best player in the entire world. Or some guy will read a double tap, or some guy will just hit the ball off the backboard, and they'll be like, you can't stop his defense.
Yes, I remember that.
You know what I
when
mean?
Someone could do a backboard double touches just on cue. You were thinking like, that guy's cheating. He's a sweat. I can't compete with that.
Oh yeah. I remember when I used to hit the ball at the backboard and somebody from the ground would jump and read it. I
Yep.
would be like, this team is calm. This is the best team I've ever played in my entire life. We can't beat them. Now it's like, dude, you know, like there's anybody's doing that. So now in today's day and age, like not to get down on these people signing up, but I hope that there's some pros that like want to be in the making, but pro play is very, very hard to get into. And I hope I see some upsets. I really, really do. But I just know that it's going to be tough.
I love
It
your
is hard to beat a
description
pro
of
team.
there's gonna be games where a guy's just gonna be driving around the map. Because like. Have you ever done like mixed rank tournaments?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I know Buck and I, we've done a lot with the Dad Gaming in Channel 3, and yeah, usually like you'll get somebody on your team that's not at the same rank as you, and you're trying to help them, and they use a lot of times they'll just hit a wall and they're like, I'm just here, guys.
Yeah.
This is above me.
Well, I remember like pro players too. Like they get bored. Do you know what I'm saying? They play against the best players in the world. So if they start like they'll always come into a game. If you ever watch these replays of like them playing like a booty team, and I'll call them a booty team. So like let's just call them like a diamond or a plat team. Sorry if you guys are diamond or plat. But I'm saying if you ever play a booty team like that, that first kickoff, you will see how fast that other team gets scored on. And then once the pros realize how bad they are, they can't help it, dude.
It's
They
just
start
game
trolling.
on.
They're just trolling. So yeah, it's gonna be tough.
And that's where
And
a team is gonna get caught.
yeah. Oh, maybe if they say, oh, these guys are plats and they're actually like grand champs.
Oh,
But I still think, guys, like a pro team is gonna have a hard time losing to any of these plat teams. You're not gonna lose to a plat or a diamond ever, 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 ever.
I will.
Have you ever seen those videos back in the day of Daniel 1v3ing?
Yes.
And he like went all the way up to like I don't remember what rank it was, but it's insane. I'm telling you guys,
there's no way.
there are 3 Daniels that are going to be floating around on some teams. Like, not saying that they're Daniel, but I'm saying that the the skill gap comparatively to those people,
Right.
there will be 3 of those on another team. If some players, but if they just start air dribbling, the game's over.
That's very true. Yeah, some of these first open qualifier matches are gonna be very interesting to see.
You know, the best part about what we did with open quals back in the day is that they broadcast it on the mainstream. So you would just follow teams, and they'd be like, "Oh, let's look at the bracket here," and you would go watch another game, and then it was just this huge build up in the bracket to who's going to be top 16. I wish they would bring that back. If you're going to do open quals like this, do that. Have like a bunch of streams going. Have a main stream where you get to follow some teams. Have a studio talking about, hey, this team's over here. This is what this team's doing over here. Let's take a look, like a live look in on this team. Like that's fun.
Yeah,
That's what makes the qualifier experience fun. But if you're not doing that, then this is just I don't know.
it's just yeah, it's just kind of
It's not even
It's here.
practice for you guys, right? Like that's the
Not
thing.
even a
It's
little
not
bit.
even a practice. It's almost like making you worse in some ways, to be honest with you, because you're going to let your guard down a little bit. You're
Yes.
going to not you personally, but the teams at that upper echelon are gonna have the opportunity to like play down, like we were talking about earlier. And that can really get with your head when you get into those games that are more competitive because you're so used to just being able to do whatever you want for a little bit, right? Like your flow is way different.
Well, and we used to say this too. Like we used to say some teams had an advantage if like the team they played before in these quals was better. So
Right.
sometimes you would come off a game and you'd be playing against like seriously diamonds, and then the team before just played against grand champs. So now they're going from grand champs, which
Ooh.
is like not that crazy. Like back in the day it wasn't that crazy. But when you're going from diamonds and you're switching into that level, they can catch you off guard pretty quick. 'Cause you're like, oh fuck, okay, guys, this is not that team, but they're already in it, and they're looking at you like you're chicken.
right.
So it's like, okay, boom, like now I got you guys in my sights. We know what level to play at, and you're sitting there like, oh, okay, like how much is it gonna ramp up? They're already in it. They're ramped up and they're ready to go. So I think with this, you're gonna see the same thing where playing against a diamond team and then playing against a pro team. Let's just say that happens, or let's just say playing against a grand champ team and then immediately going into a pro team next round is extremely difficult. Because like you said, you can't play the same way against a grand champ team that you do against a pro team. You can't.
No.
Because the stuff
That's
that
right.
works against a grand champ team is not going to work against a pro team. And the stuff that works against a pro team, you can't always rely on a grand champ team doing. So you sit there and you're like, oh, he's going to fake this here. No, he's probably not going to.
Yeah.
He's probably going to shoot it right at your net, and you're going to be like, "Hi, he shot that? Yeah, he did."
That's right.
Because
It's
he
like
doesn't know
the
what to do.
soccer, the penalty kicks where a guy shoots it right at you and you like
Oh.
jump out of the way. That's what
Yeah.
it's going to be like. They're going to expect the best shot and they're going to get one straight at them and they won't be able to know what to do.
I just
Not
had a flashback
that you
to
can't adjust to it, but then that you take that and then you go to that upper level game and you're you're at a disadvantage. I feel like,
Or
compared
it's
to
just go.
teams.
Yeah. No, Bucket, you just go down 1-0. Let's just say you go down 1-0, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, this is different." Okay, you lost game 1. It's a best of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
no,
now again,
You're up
once
against
then
the
you
wall.
get into that mental situation where, guys, we're not losing this team, right? And then they're like sitting there, and on their end, they're like, "We're never losing this game. We're pros." And I'm
They're
telling you,
sitting
that's
forward. They're sitting way
badly.
forward.
Oh
In the
yeah,
good way. You guys are sitting way
They're
forward in
all-
the bad way.
their nose is
Yeah.
at the monitor.
Oh man.
yeah.
just-
And they're
Totally.
scream coming at each other, and like every single goal that they score, every single 50 that they get feels so significant. It it's first of all, dude. Let me just tell you guys that I'm getting hyped up about quals because I love playing tournaments, but RLCS quals period, it's no joke. I can't describe to you that the level of play on that day from specific teams, you'll never see anything like it in any level of play. I don't care if we're talking about RLC. Like the only thing we can talk about is LAN, but even at LAN, the gameplay is dumbed down a little bit because everybody's so nervous and you're just doing the basic shit.
Mhm.
In RLCS quals, when you're in the comfort of your house with your blanket on, and you think you're about to be a pro, those kids are demons. And the things that you see on that day, sometimes you're like, wow, I mean, geez, that's a good shot. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen for sure, and it'll be fun to watch. It made me think
Nothing
back
to lose, man.
Yeah,
Nothing to lose.
you said like, oh, he shot that, and I immediately thought about the Lachinio clip where he was playing calm, and that was like something that
Oh.
he legit said in that clip. Like they just shot it. They just shoot it, and
Yep.
that's all I can think.
He didn't even know
about.
what to do.
That's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
what are you doing?
Oh my God. Well, we are definitely excited for quals coming up. No matter what all has happened, we put it aside. We look forward to what is going to happen. And for you, Greg, how do you truly feel about the season coming up?
I'm excited. I'm always excited. I have an amazing team with me, and I'm just excited to compete again. Like we feel so comfortable with the way we've been playing. We feel so comfortable about our growth. So I think the more and more we look at the season as this is the season that was given to us. It doesn't change what the format is. At the end of the day, guys, it doesn't matter. I don't care if it's a double elimination, a pentuple elimination. The goal of the game is to win. So if you win, we're not going to be talking about the format. So all we know is we have to be the best team possible. If we're the best team possible, then we'll survive the format. If we're not, then the format will beat us, and that means we weren't as good as we needed to be.
Win and you're in. That's what I always
Boom.
say.
That's it, man. That's amazing. The format changes, they seem like you said, not so significant. There's that piece of it. There's also the thing where all the teams are playing at the same time across the whole world, which is pretty fun, but also pretty crazy because we can't really watch them in one weekend. But that's to shorten the season. Kind of get it. Still think it's dumb. But the other thing that I noticed is like there's a lot of still free agents that aren't necessarily tied to big orgs anymore, or there's just not as many big orgs. Do you know, or can you speak a little bit to that? Like some of these players aren't getting the salaries maybe they would expect or whatever. And that was kind of, I think Squishy alluded to that too in his retirement. It's just not there right now. So is that piece of it on the opposite side of what we're seeing Epic in what we talked about? We think they're trying to get more people and get more people involved. Is that the like sell of it? Are orgs still not sold?
I think orgs were sold. So going into like Rocket League's always been one of those games where like if you looked at like the the numbers of it, it was never really adding up for how much you had to pay these guys. Okay, like I think salaries amongst any esport right now are inflated. Period. Okay, but I think that the format changes have scared away org, which is part of why the changes. Although I'm talking about them being fun, it's fun for the it's fun for like the bubble players and somebody that doesn't have a league spot, but you want a league spot eventually. I'm telling you, everybody wants one. But you still want to be able to make a little bit of money too. I just think that we could have done it in a different way. But the most important, I think, side effect of what's happening here is that it's not about scaring orgs away. It's the communication of it. It's you have lured orgs in and said, "Hey, this is what our game is. This is how we're going to do it." And then you go on such a communication hiatus that now these orgs that have bought in, assuming that you are going to do the same thing, are now sitting there going, "Well, what are you doing?" And they're getting no answer. That's the scary part. Because if they don't have an answer, I don't know how an org is supposed to feel comfortable stepping in. So when you have an org like Team Liquid put out the statement that they did, it's a big statement. When you have an org like SSG and they say, like, we're uncertain, like we have no idea what just happened, like they got blindsided by it, that's a bad thing. It's more the communication aspect of it. I think that if orgs were made aware of these changes early enough, we'd be talking about something different. We could have maybe had different communication from the orgs. We could have maybe had changes put in earlier, but it didn't happen. So I think the format scares orgs away because there's uncertainty around if we sign a team and we're paying them, are we going to see a return on our money? Now, there are different ways to make money in esports, obviously, and I was telling you guys last time, like, visibility is the number one thing that matters. So an org just wants to be visible. So when we talk about auto qualification spots, where like last year, if you were top 8, you were in RLCS already. You didn't have to play through close quals. That was big because if you were top 8, you want a top 8 team because, hey, guess what? Now we're a top 8 team and you're always going to be seen on the RLCS. Cool. Now there's no guarantee of that. So what makes an org want to step in right now until their team is already solidified? It doesn't make any sense for them.
Mhm.
So I think that we need to find a way to make sure, and I think one of the things that I think Epic is missing the ball on, to be honest with you, is it's it's not about the budget of what they're spending, but it's about the ecosystem around the esport. So if an org like Luminosity and an org like Space Station and G2 and NRG, you want to put your money together, right? And you want to get a Rocket League team. You have to have enough tournaments, you have to have enough content in order for that org to want to put all their best people there, make content around your game, so that org's fans will watch that game. When that happens, you draw more viewers to it. When a team like NRG invests a ton of money in their org and they can't go to a LAN because maybe they didn't sign the best team because it's
Yeah.
not a top 4 team now you miss that part of the ecosystem. So now that part of your content is gone. Now I'm not even just saying from NRG standpoint, I'm saying from Rocket League standpoint. Now you don't have NRG's pool. Now let's just say G2 has one bad split and they're number 5. They're not going to a major with that team. What now? So now you don't have G2's content. It's the same thing with SSG and the same thing with Luminosity. You want these teams in front of fans. Because the most important thing, in my opinion, is that Epic has to understand the visibility and the marketability of certain players, and especially North America and Europe, is what draws fans to this game. I was talking about Call of Duty with some of my friends the other day, and we were talking about how Call of Duty has a very, very successful esport as far as viewers go. Right? They have a lot of big name personalities. They have big viewer streams. It is entirely North America and Europe. What Epic has done is they've actually expanded the regions in which they're trying to grow the game to, but the game itself in those regions is not growing. So this year we're saying, okay, we're going to give SSA a major spot, but the game's not growing in SSA. They're getting like 10, 12 teams signing up in SSA. Okay, maybe they're getting more now, which is good, but you're giving them a major spot. When those teams go to the major, they're just going to get clapped by the NA and EU teams, or even the SAM teams or the MENA teams. That's not fair for them either. So in order to properly grow this esport, I really, really do think that we have to focus on what's right first. And I think that right now what's working in esports and Rocket League is the North American and European orgs having teams at LANs. When you do that, you get fans there. And when you have meet and greets and all these these content announcements, that's big. That generates hype. But if you're only putting 4 teams in there, now you have an SSA team, an APAC team, an OCE team, and you have 4 NA teams. What are you going to a LAN for? I'm being honest with you. What are we doing? Are we doing the World Cup every major? because there's 4 teams in
Right.
each region that can still win that major that aren't going. To be honest, like that's really how I feel. I feel like on any given day, when you look at North America's tournaments today, Dignitas beats Luminosity, right? Luminosity beats OG. That's going to happen. That doesn't mean that one of those teams is bad. It's just the nature of this game at this stage right now. So in order, subtracting teams doesn't make sense from a region that is so competitive. It is your most competitive, best Rocket League region in North America and Europe. It's just what it is. So to give it to other spots, to me, it doesn't make any sense because you're not. It seems to me that they don't understand where the eyes are right now. If you know that the money is in North America and Europe, let's focus on that. Let's obviously give them the help. SSA and MENA and APAC, I want them to have the help. But understand that North America and Europe are the ones that your orgs are at. That's where your ecosystem is, and that's where the huge community is.
Yeah, I think I think there was a lot of hope. I think there is a lot of hope to do with SSA, like with what MENA kind of became. MENA, like the game just seemed like it kind of stuck. Like it came out of there. They have very good players that have had good results recently, but yeah, we haven't we just haven't seen it from the SSA side yet. But I'm sure it'll get there. But in your comparison, yeah, I would take like OCE. OCE has good players, but they have yet to really have like the results that you think that they would be able to at this point.
Especially because they were in so early.
Right. And I think I saw something like they maybe sometimes barely get like 60 teams to sign up on before.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked to see what they're at now, but I think your sentiment is right in being a little bit nervous as to where the mindset is. What are they wanting to try and grow?
For me too, it's like, and it's even talking about Call of Duty again. Call of Duty is not an unsuccessful esport. Just because you're focusing it in on North America and EU doesn't mean it's unsuccessful, right? They've actually said, to the most part, we don't even care about Europe. If you want to come play in our league, come live in North America. That's not a bad thing.
No.
It's just because the eyes of the viewers are still there. You want to have teams where you can grab onto a team, be a fan of that team, and say, I want to root for that team. If you constantly switch out these teams and they're constantly, oh, who's at the major this time? Don't know. Okay, who's at the major this time? Don't know. What are we doing? I just don't. To me, it doesn't make any sense. And my hope, and this is something that I do want to say, my hope is that in an esports community like Super Smash, right? They are very, very grassroots, and the heart of Rocket League is grassroots. And I hope that the people of the community understand how much that these grassroots lands, how well those do, and how much people want to see those lands with their favorite teams. If somebody figures that out, this game will be in a good state. Because right now we're handing it in the hands of somebody that doesn't seem to understand what the pulse of the community is. And again, shout out to Epic. I understand they've been going through a hard time. But listen, I've said this in my tweet. Listen to your community. Nobody is trying to hurt you. Nobody is trying to say, hey, we're unhappy, screw you. We're trying to say, let us help you. We will tell you what you give us the parameters, you give us the barriers. We will help you try to help this format out because these orgs want to stay in this game. This game is still, it makes money because you're not talking about guns. You're not talking about violence. You're talking about marketability it's the one-to-one esport that translates to a sport. Easy to understand. There's still something here. So if they don't figure it out, somebody is going to. That's why I don't really worry about the future of Rocket League. I worry about the future of it in their hands. That's what I'm worried about right now.
I think you just said it perfectly.
Yeah, mic drop on that communication aspect. I mean, you went around through and over that one. That's crazy. But I agree with you on all terms, man. Their communication has been not only lacking but non-existent, and everyone deserves to understand what's going on, from the players to the coaches to the orgs to the fans, man, to be honest with you. And I think everybody is shouting from the rooftops right now, or X Twitter, as loud as they can to get it said.
What would you guys want to do? I'm saying like in this situation, have you guys ever felt called to arms in a situation like this? Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When this news broke, I felt called to arms. I felt like I needed to do something, and I don't know how to explain it to you, but it felt like that action was needed. And I not very often do I get feelings like that where it's like, oh man, I got to do something. I've never felt stronger about a situation than this one, and it's like, as a fan and as a community, is there something we can do?
I,
Because
I
if the whole community's screaming, I feel like surely they have to listen. Like if the entire community's screaming and they see like, oh my, this is a ton of traction.
so I would say that I definitely felt some sort of call to arms. I think Bucket was kind of in the same boat. Just from watching everything though, because we're not competitors. We play the game. We're observers. We liked Rocket League enough that we started a freaking podcast about it and competitive Rocket League. So yeah, I think for us, our call to arms is letting people come up and share their piece about it. The crummy part that it kind of feels is that it seems to fall on deaf ears right now.
Yeah.
No matter what you say. And we all watched for the last month and a half, actually all the time leading up to the announcement of, hey, are we getting news? Are we hearing anything? And then to not just have it all kind of drop on us that, hey, it's all changing. It's bummer to watch it just fall on deaf ears. And when something like trading got taken away, and then finding out that the UE5 thing we all thought was going to be Rocket League ends up being a side game in Fortnite, and then just getting told that, hey, sorry, we're short-staffed, we can't communicate with you guys. To me, that means that, okay, so we're on the back burner now. And I think I said last week or 2 weeks ago, it honestly feels like at this point that the decision was made to, all right, what's the simplest way we can run this tournament since everybody's looking for it to happen that doesn't require a large budget like we've seen in the last couple of years, and we can just kind of keep it floating right now because everything is tight. But if that's the case, I think the community would understand if you told us that.
That's what we've always said. But that's what one of the things that I have been working behind the scenes on trying to get something resolved with them, even just like spearheading communication with them, as anything, as just as a coach in the scene, as a longtime lover of your game, as a professional that exists in your ecosystem. Hey, this is my thoughts on what's going on. I gave them a huge presentation. I sent it to them, and I hope they hear this. I sent it to you. They told me to. And one of the things that I really, really put a focus on was I like I see where you're going. I see the path in which like we could take this, and I just want to make sure that you're hearing what we're saying. That's it. Just hear us out.
Yeah, hear us out. I mean, we've watched.
Dude, you sound like the head of a union, is what you sound like. And No. But I'm saying like you're on one side and you're like, let me be the voice for a little bit and let you guys know what I'm hearing. Because no one person or a group of people have been able to get through to you. You're trying to break that barrier down. And that's what I'm saying. Not necessarily that you've created some backing behind you, but like you're trying to bridge the gap. And I think that's what it's going to take more than, getting our pitchforks out and yelling at them, because they're just going to close their gates like they have been. I think it's going to take someone like you with that attitude to do exactly what you just said. And I love that.
And that's all I want to do. All I'm trying to do is make sure that, like you said, as a fan, a lot of this is, if it was communicated with us, we would be okay with it. But we're just asking for simple communication. I think that the stuff that we were already communicated about, like the information that we were communicated about, we are fine with. Nobody's complaining. But the stuff that we were not told about and that got sprung on us last second, that's the stuff that we're all going, huh? What's going on? All we're asking is just, we could sit there and say, hey, like as Psionics, back in the day, they used to sit there and say, hey guys, I remember when they put out the crate system, right? They put out the crate system and everybody's like, uh-oh guys, crates, we're done, it's CSGO. But then they were like, hey, we understand what you guys are saying about crates, but what we're doing with the crates is we want to fund our esports prize pool. And we were like, cool, we love crates, we will do it because we trusted the company. And it's the same way in this, is where what I was preaching to them is, you had the chance right now to have the biggest esports turnaround in the history of esports internet, right? Social media, to sit there and say, just a tweet, hey, we heard your concerns. We fucked up. Here's how we're going to make it a little bit better. Jake Lucky would have got a hold of that. All the esports outlets would have got a hold of it. And not only that, it generates hype around your season. It generates hype around your esport again. It generates hope and trust within the orgs. All you had to say is just listen to us a little bit. That's it. Just communicate it and say, hey, we heard you guys. The season didn't go as planned. Hey, you know what? We are a little bit short-staffed. We get it.
Well,
Like it's been a tough year for all of us, but here's how we're going to try to make this the best season possible for you. That's it. It's all you had to do. And the response would be, we are not hard to please. We would just be sitting there like, oh, let's do it. Let's run it. Here we go. Best org of all, like best, Epic is the best. That's all we would say.
right.
But the fact that they're not even willing to hear us out on like, you guys don't even want this little tiny win. You guys just want to keep spearheading this into it. Like you just want to keep jamming this into us. Yep, this is the season. This is the format. This is what you're doing. And then silence. And then amidst that silence, buy this car. What are you doing?
Or as I like to say, it's with Lightning McQueen, it's ka-chow, ka-ching, is what that felt like. And
oh, it was ka-ching.
It was. I mean, they got me because that was something I had wanted for a long time. I was like, well, I'm gonna get it. So, yep. But
like, and they all, and by the way, when they announced that, they all climbed out of the hole. By the way, all those Epic guys that were working on the game climbed out of the hole. They're like, look, we released Lightning McQueen, and we're all like, cool, sweet, dude. Anyways, RLCS, and they're like, yeah, the Lightning McQueen's awesome. We're working on some stuff, cool. And then silence again.
Right.
All we're asking you is, listen, we're not asking you to be perfect. We never have.
Nope.
We're just asking for communication. Like, to me, this does not seem difficult. I actually genuinely, like, what's insane about this is that it does not cost money. It does not. This communication does not cost money. And there are people in this community right now that would sign up to be the communicator for you.
100%.
There would be people that would sign up as part of orgs and as part of like the pros that would sign up for free to communicate the issues of what's going on and communicate with everybody. Hey, this is what's going on. This is what, hey, even if it's not going to happen, this is what they told us they're trying to do. Let's see if they can do it. Nobody would care if you just told us what your plans were. That's it.
Well,
and that's what pisses me off about all this budget cut stuff too. It's not budget cuts. This is, I don't want to hear anything about, oh, they don't have a lack of funds. This is communication. And that communication costs nothing. $0.
Well, and you touched on too, us grabbing our Bucket touched on it, us grabbing our pitchforks and being mad. There's enough ambassadors out there for the game who would be able to calm the waters and be like,
yes.
Hey, look, they said this. It's all right. We can move forward. But yeah, the communication just isn't there, and hopefully it does improve as we go forward.
Yeah, I agree, and that's all we're trying to do. And I come off passionate about this because it's been a project I've been working on for hours. Especially last week, I was working on it for hours a day, of like multiple hours, and to be met with silence was extremely depressing. It was like, you put all your time into this project because you believe in this esport, and you just want to talk to the people that made this possible for you. I've grown my career in this game, and I started playing this when I was 21 years old, 22 years old. I'm 30, dude. Right? So now I'm in a completely different role, but I've made a career here.
Hang on. Let's not think 30 is that old. Like, you're going to
Yeah,
go salt bucket over there.
But I'm saying it's been 8 years. And and it doesn't seem like
it's
this
like
game
a third
has
of your
lost
life,
anything.
man. Like,
It
honestly.
yeah, it is. It has been basically. It's been like 20, around 27% of my life. And what's crazy is that this game means a lot to me. So when I hear about it, it's like, we're in this society where it's like we also have to just constantly improve our numbers. It's like, oh, well, we had a $6 million prize pool. We need to have a $7 million prize. No, you don't.
Nope.
There is an ecosystem around this game that if you keep it stable, that orgs will get in, because to be honest with you guys, orgs don't care about the prize pool. They do not.
That's not where they make their money.
That's not where they make their money. So that's what I'm saying. Again, we're just talking about things that are irrelevant. And then when I hear about the changes they made, I'm patiently waiting to see the payout of it. That's all I can say. But it doesn't change the fact that you need to keep these orgs in the game, because without orgs in the game, you do not have professionals. Without people being paid to play your game and people going to LANs, you are an online video game. That is the death of your game. Without any of us, without the fans, without the pros, without the coaches, without the orgs, you are an online video game.
Yep, that's what I think. That's
This
what
is
we
an
all fear right now.
This is an esport with all those things involved. That's it. It's that simple.
Man, well, hopefully it doesn't come to that, and we do see some promise going forward. But yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it on the head right there. That was a very good mic drop from you, and we do appreciate your enthusiasm for it and how much you have dedicated to the game. So we, from the bottom of our hearts, Greg, thank you. We really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys.
Bucket, before we go, I see your mind cooking. You got something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to share the same sentiment. I really want to follow along with what you find out. If you find out anything, like whatever, I don't know if you're going to be tweeting it out, but drop us your socials again here if you want to, real quick, and make sure everyone goes and checks out RawGreg. You've been on the show a few times, a staple now, and one of our favorite guests. You've introduced us to some great people too that we've been able to have on. So you're more than welcome anytime to come back and chat with us and let us know how things are going. But I'm really interested in following your guys' journey this year, and best of luck to you, man. You're a great guy. You're a great ambassador for the community, and I couldn't just be more proud of kind of like what you've accomplished in this sport. So hats off to you, brother.
Bro, I appreciate that, man. Like, seriously, I appreciate you guys for giving me the platform to talk about it, because sometimes I just realize I don't even know what I just said for the past 10 minutes, but I hope it was something good.
No, it was on point.
I did. I blacked out. But, I appreciate you guys because, like I said, you guys are in the same space I am. You guys are trying to make some money off of this. You guys are trying to have this as a passion, as a hobby. And without this game, then we're just talking about a video game, So I just want to make this the best thing that we can while we're still doing this. And I feel like it's got a lot of life in it. And I don't want to see it murdered. I want to see it like preserved. So whatever I can do to do that, that's what I'm going to do, man.
I think we all agree. Well, thank you again, Greg. We appreciate it. And anybody that is listening on a podcast platform, we appreciate you as well. Please make sure to subscribe, follow, whatever buttons you need to hit the alert button. And thanks for anybody that tuned in on X. We also appreciate you as well. Be sure to give Bucket and Hoosier a follow on X, and we will catch you all next time. Have a good one.